Just to, there's always that announcement, this reading is being, this meeting is being recorded. And I mean, there's 300, maybe more, close to 400 now. I don't know, a lot of these videos, these Zoom classes, talks that I give on Facebook, on YouTube. And it's kind of like a reference library to basically the most fundamental aspects of these teachings. Something that everybody can use. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to go there and see these, talks. And I suggest people do it. I mean, I think every one of them is like a refresher course in, Rudy's meditation practice. So, at first I didn't know about this, but then I thought, this is really a good idea. And I hope people use it and benefit from these talks because, every one of them that I've given in I don't know, the last 6-8 months is on YouTube and Facebook. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
I read a book about, talk about Kundalini phenomenon. I don't know how to explain experience kind of thing. There is one is hearing heavenly sound, or like visualize a special supernatural light, or to see something, visually something. Is that part of the Kundalini are you talking about? Or I don't know, maybe for me, for you talking about more like come from inside, not outside or anything like this. So,
well, look, it comes from inside.
Inside, right? Mm-hmm.
Our system is inside every human being. And so the whole purpose of this meditation is to develop the chakra system so that you can, build a deep inner connection with higher energy in the universe. Now, when the chakra below the navel, in the hara, when the heart opens, when the mind is, it goes beyond the body. But it begins inside every human being. And that's really what has to be developed. I cannot imagine how people can tell you to develop the external world without developing the internal world. Because frankly, the external world, as I say often, is really just a reflection of our inner life. And if the inner life of a human being is not developed, the external world is going to be one of conflict and materialism and, energies of a very low level. So everything I learned in my life, even before I met Rudy, has to do with the development of an inner life of a human being. All of the greatest, music, the greatest art, the greatest literature, the greatest books ever written, they come because the energy of a higher nature flowed through somebody and it manifested that as great works of art, great works of literature, great works of dance, just people living happy lives, which is probably the most difficult thing of all to do, to just live a happy life. But if the internal, part of us isn't open and highly developed, none of this is possible. Yeah, you can take drugs and see visions, but that's just bullshit, The spiritual life is not just visions. The spiritual life is really learning how to work out our karma, how to connect with God, how to build a system inside that enables us to do all these things. It's a wholeness of being a spiritual life. So I don't know how one can possibly spend their time, just, looking at external things and come to a realization in themselves that they are connected with God. because everything outside us is a reflection of our inner life. And if the inner life isn't highly developed and holistic, and, the external world is going to be a very chaotic place. Intermixed with visions and with this and that and moments of, peace and grace. And all of that comes. But, it's like, like a mala, like a necklace of beads that people wear that are, supposed to be sacred. There's 108 of them that are connected by a thread, and they symbolize 108 states of consciousness that a human being lives through, connected by consciousness, which is the thread. And that consciousness emanates from within a human being, building a chakra system that is strong enough to live a conscious life.
Thank you.
You're welcome. People write a lot of stuff about Kundalini, and, what I suggest when you read these things is just take from what they write what can work for you and help you, and, don't get swept away in it. Just take the essence of what people talk about and how it can work to help you develop your own connection with God.
Makes sense.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Excuse me, Stuart, can you please speak about spiritual consciousness? I mean, there are different layers of that, and if you can just talk about it a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a 4,000-page book, the question you asked. Look, spiritual consciousness, joy, love, kindness, compassion, these are the ultimate goals of every human being living on the earth. And these are the highest states of being that we can attain on the earth, just being a happy person. I mean, once you have that and sustain that in your life, there's really not much else we have to learn in order to be with God. Yeah, there's a lot of intellectual knowledge, there's a lot of scientific knowledge and all that stuff, but to be with God, to have a spiritual life, I mean, the ultimate goal is to just become a happy person. I mean, I've said this before, when I was younger, I used to read a lot of philosophy, Plato, Aristotle, Spinoza, on and on and on, Greeks and Romans and, philosophers through the ages. And one of the things I was shocked at in almost all of these philosophers, the ultimate goal was happiness. And every one of them, just about, was the ultimate state of, spiritual awareness. And the ultimate goal of living was to become a happy person. I mean, it was in Aristotle and Plato, who were, really very different types of philosophers. But the ultimate goal was the attainment of happiness. And I think, to me, when I was younger, oh no, I'm an existential and life is miserable, And eventually I said, Stuart, just shut up, because they're right. The ultimate goal of living is to evolve within ourselves and truly live with open hearts, with love. God is love, with happiness, with joy. And that's a very important layer of spiritual consciousness, maybe the most important one. But in order to do that, I keep getting back again and again that one has to develop a chakra system inside that is strong enough to do that. Because naivety and innocence by itself will just be destroyed by life.
Mhm.
Naivety and innocence and love will sustain itself if, understand, there's grounding, rootedness, foundation to support it. So they really sustain themselves if the entire chakra system is developed in a human being. And then there's other levels, there's other levels, knowledge that comes, not intellectual knowledge, thinking knowledge. Yeah, that's one level. But I'm talking about knowledge that emanates from the fountainhead of all creativity, that comes from what's infinite in the universe and can only enter our systems if our systems aren't frazzled all the time, full of conflict, full of, fear and insecurity and anger and depression and all of that stuff. The mind is quiet, it can begin to receive knowledge, real knowledge that emanates from what's infinite in the universe. And it gives you the ability to see the world through the third eye, to listen with an inner ear, and to discern what is real and what is not real. And I've always arrived at the conclusion in my life, what is real is what helps me get closer to my enlightenment. What is unreal is what interferes with it. And when I finally came to that realization, it basically transformed my life. Because all the things I valued, it didn't mean anything to me anyway. I said, no, how do I use those things to get closer to God? How do I use my time, money, friends, people, everything as an inspiration to develop my inner life and get closer to enlightenment? Then it becomes real. But all the great jewels in the world, the great things it mostly takes people's lives away because they don't use those things as a way to get closer to their enlightenment. They become ends in themselves. Self-importance, charisma, who people are, or they think they are, These are all different layers of consciousness and different ways that we can interact with the world. And frankly, it all comes together when the chakra system is highly developed. Does anyone else have a question you would like to ask?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Ophir. Okay, if there are no more questions, there'll be a meditation class tomorrow evening at 7:30. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. I love the attendance. I love this tremendous need I feel in people to learn the stuff that's coming through. And in the last 3, 4, 5 months, it's just kind of blows my socks away what is coming through and what is becoming possible for myself to learn and for all of you to learn, through the development of an inner life that can receive it. It's just energy, and it's there to nurture us, to help us grow, to help us see life more clearly, to help us get less meshed in our own problems and being victims and being, whatever kind of anxieties go on inside of people. To be free, to be a child of God, to live with open hearts and love. And we all deserve that. I think, honestly, every human being deserves that. Many people are just punishing themselves with the way they live in this world. So bless you all. Thank you. And I can't tell you how grateful I am that we have these classes. You all show up for them. you take a part of your day to be here. And I'm just infinitely grateful, because being here with you and doing this, I mean, it's just helping me to grow, and hopefully it's helping all of you to grow. So God bless you all. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. There'll be a class tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Stuart, God bless you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you.
Right.